there's a lot of different models of change out there. You've got rational emotive behavioral therapy. You got cognitive behavioral therapy. You got emotion focused therapy. There's so many different models. What is it, from your opinion, that makes NLP unique?
NLP, now let me give the history a little bit of NLP to answer that question. A guy named Noam Chomsky, a linguist, an anthropologist, he's still alive. He's very well known. And he's, I got one of his books, one of the first, in the front of the book, it says, if you're a Christian, by the end of this book, chances are you won't be. That's a paraphrase. Literally, that's what he had. Literally. He talked primarily about evolution in there. But he developed in linguistics a model called transformational grammar. You know, grammar that transforms. And out of that, a linguist professor at Professor of Linguistics, John Grinder, at the University of Southern California in Santa Cruz, was teaching linguistics at the university there, and he had a student named Richard Bandler. Very, let's say, how would we put it? Let's say he was not a Christian.
Yeah.
He off the streets. He was a street guy. But brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Was in there, and Richard Bandler was house seating for a guy named Fritz Perls, one of the founders of cognitive therapy. And Fritz Perls is known for creating what's called Gestalt therapy. And he did that by while he's housekeeping for this guy. He started reading his books, and he taking what he studied in linguistics. He was able to notice what the type questions that he was using. And Richard would go out and talk to students and start getting changes. And he took it to Grinder, and they both teamed up. They created what's called meta model of language. And that's language about language. It's the foundation of NLP.
Right.
It's how we find out what folks are doing in their head.
Right.
And so we can change it. Lead them to change it, I should say. But they developed that meta model, and he took it to Fritz Perls, Gestalt therapy. They took it to Virginia Satir, famous family therapist. And they were able to, use the meta model, they were able to discover how she was getting such miraculous results with families through the questions she was asking. And then from there, they got introduced to a medical doctor, a psychiatrist by the name Milton Erickson. Milton Erickson is famous in medical hypnosis. Indeed, he invented it. Yeah. And he has tremendous influence on neurolinguistics with his work in hypnosis. Later on, as they study NLP, they'll understand what I'm going to say when I say what Milton Erickson was doing in hypnosis is the exact opposite of what we do with the meta model.
Right.
Yeah. He was hypnotizing people, and through suggestions, he was making great changes. But they understood, they found out how he was doing that. Yeah. And so NLP has a tremendous foundation. And there's more. There's other people who have contributed to NLP. And you may know some. What's it called? I forget.
Cybernetics?
Cybernetics.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
Yeah. Computer science, because Richard Bandler was also a computer scientist.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff, a lot of the language comes from computer science.
Yep. NLP, that's where he got the word programming.
Right.
Computer, yeah. NLP, though it's not formally accepted as a part of cognitive psychology and cognitive linguistics, NLP is a chunked down, highly specific version of cognitive psychology and cognitive linguistics.
Mm-hmm. Now, and because one of the things that we look at in NLP, and this is the thing that got me when I first started studying it, is that NLP looks at the structure of your experience, not just the content. So it looks at how you put your experience together, not just what's happening to you, but how are you doing it? So, for instance, like if we're dealing with a person who's depressed, we look at the structure of their depression, not just what's on their mind, but how we ask the question, how are you doing depression?
Yep. How are you depressing yourself?
Yeah. How are you Yeah.
Thoughts are not things; they're abstractions,
mm-hmm.
and they're moldable and changeable. They're not real like this iPhone I have in my hand. You can't touch them. You can't. There's no instrument that can go inside your head
mm-hmm.
and find a picture or a sound or a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be done.
Right.
They're abstractions. As what was the guy? Science Insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Alfred
Korzybski. Yeah.
That's another guy who made tremendous influence.
Right.
By the way, that book came out in 1933. He invented the term neurolinguistics.
Right.
And it's still in print through the General Semantic Society.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, enough of that.
Okay. So here's the thing. This is what I want to ask. So now that we understand that NLP really is about, for those of you watching, it's about the structure of your experience. It's not just what you're doing. We are interested in how are you doing it? Because from the NLP model, it's the structure of your experience that creates your experience. If you understand the structure, which is one of the things we utilize to understand structure is the meta model. We get down and look into the structure of what you're doing. And by changing the structure, we change the experience. Right, Bob?
Yeah. I like that. How are you depressing yourself?
Mm-hmm.
I always follow that up with another question. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you feeling? And how are you talking to yourself in order to depress yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Later on, and what would happen if you just stopped doing that and did something else? I want everyone to go online and Google "stop it." Just put in there "stop it." Little 5-minute tape. What's that comedian's name?
Bob Newhart.
Bob Newhart.
Right.
I'm losing my short-term memory. It's terrible. Terrible.
Well, that's why you got
old age. Yeah. Bob Newhart. Stop it. Listen, you gotta watch that.
Yeah, it's hilarious.